What's up YouTube and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a 2014 Lamborghini Aventador in the shop. This one's in the shop because of two warning lights on the dash. Now we're all familiar with the check engine light. Secondly, this one has a warning light on for the brake wear indicator. If you're not familiar with the brake wear indicator system, it's basically there to tell you when the brakes are worn out and they need to be replaced. However, this car only has about 8,000 miles on it and the brakes look perfectly fine. So now we've got to figure out not just the check engine light, but we've got to figure out why it's throwing this warning for the brakes being bad. Sensor 1, bank 3, sensor 1, bank 3, sensor 1, bank 3. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you have a check engine light is you want to scan the car. Scanning it is going to give you some fault codes that are generally going to tell you where to start looking to figure out your problem. After we scanned it, we took off the left rear wheel and the wheel house liner to locate the bank 3 and bank 4 O2 sensors. So in here we have 4 O2 sensor connections. Some of these are going to be primary, some of these are secondary. What we're going to do is swap over the two O2 sensors and see if the code follows over to the other sensor bank. So we cleared the codes, no check engine light. And if our calculations are correct, we are going to see codes come up for the bank 4 sensor. And since we switched around the O2 sensors, this will confirm our diagnosis that it's the O2 sensor and not the wiring. This is a fast way to diagnose, or at least eliminate any doubts that the wiring is bad before you replace the O2 sensor itself. A lot of people will go right to replacing the O2 sensor, but you want to check this stuff first to make sure you're not buying the sensor for no reason. Yep, as we suspected, now the code has moved over to bank 4. Short circuit to ground on the O2 sensor. Basically, the O2 sensor has shorted out. This confirms the diagnosis, and we are good to just replace the O2 sensor and should take care of everything. And we'll touch more on the brake wear sensor later in the video. So it looks like we're taking off this panel, and I'm hoping we can just reach in to get to that O2 sensor. That'd be nice. And we need something to hold the hood up because of this. So after scanning for the fault codes and figuring out we have an O2 sensor issue going on, we did a visual inspection to look for any obvious issues. And another thing we did is we started to research some common problems that can happen on Aventadors with the O2 sensors. Yeah, the old one has all this heat wrap on it. When we did that, we found out that sometimes these cars have issues with the engine wiring harness. The engine wiring harness is typically a big job to replace. Alright, hopefully this is the right sensor. So this is where you really want to put in the due diligence to make sure that this is really just the sensor that needs replaced and that you're not missing a major problem that's going on. One trick I learned is that you can cut the wiring off once you've already figured out that the sensor is bad, and you can put a socket right over top of the sensor and you get much better grip and leverage compared to a wrench or an O2 sensor socket.
Cut, you can just put a deep socket right over top.
Is sometimes these sensors do not want to come out.
So the first socket we tried is not working. It has this kind of shoulder in there that stops you from getting very far on the sensor. This one goes deeper. We're going to try that. There we go. Think it'll be easy by hand?
I don't know. So I put the ratchet in there too. I knew we had one out here. Maybe 90T. Give you more leverage.
No. I went to the gym this morning.
Oh, kill yourself. See how that gym works out. All right.
That's why you gotta go to the gym.
I could have got that loose. It went tight.
That's Planet Fitness. It just got him loose. Yeah.
You didn't get no leverage. You didn't even start back, nothing. You just...
I just made it look easy. That's the thing.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is cut the wiring off and just go straight to using a socket on it and not try to strip it out with any other methods.
Why does this tape so strong? Oh, Lamborghini tape.
Not Lamborghini tape.
Yeah, that's why it's so strong.
V12 tape.
Yeah.
Putting the new sensor in is typically the easy part. You just have to pay attention, make sure you're routing all the wiring correctly, not leaving anything to rub against the exhaust to get melted or burned up at a later time, and make sure everything is tightened down and plugged in correctly. So we're tightening back down. You will need an O2 sensor socket so you don't damage the wiring. I need With the new sensor installed, we can start putting everything back together. We had some footage get deleted, so one thing we didn't show is taking the heat shield off of the old sensor, and it actually needs reinstalled onto the OEM Lamborghini O2 sensor that you're putting back into the car on these. With the new sensor installed, we took our time to make sure everything's routed correctly, nothing's gonna rub or get damaged from heat from the exhaust, and then we put everything back together. With the wheel put on, we can put the car back on the ground. So at this point, we replaced the O2 sensor down in here, resecured the wiring, replugged everything in. This panel went back on, this big panel goes back on. Put the wheel on, the wheel house liner down in here, and make sure everything's fixed. So with the new O2 sensor, we have no check engine light coming back. We put a few miles on the car, and we have an order in for a brake wear sensor from Lamborghini. While we're waiting for the sensor to come in, we actually moved into a new shop here in Clearwater. The new shop's going to give us more space to take on more cars and bigger projects. We're really excited about the new shop, so we've already started cleaning it up and fixing it up to be more suitable for what we need. Even though it's just a brake wear sensor, this Aventador will be the first car that officially gets fixed in this shop, which is pretty cool to say. Here we'll show you the process of how you would diagnose this sensor to make sure it's what you need to replace. So one of the issues with this car is it also has a brake wear warning light on the dash. The thing is, we looked at all the brakes and the brakes are good. What we did to diagnose this, instead of just throwing parts at it and guessing what the problem is, this wire goes to the brake wear sensor, and we jumped the two pins in here together, and we confirmed that makes the brake wear light go off on the dash, simulating a good wear sensor, and that let us know that the issue is indeed the wear sensor needs replaced. So we got a new one from Lamborghini, and that'll take care of all the problems on this car.
Alright, so this is the code that got left in the system when we were swapping around the wiring to test. Let's clear this out. Code clear. So getting gas on the test drive. Let's scan it again, see if anything came back. No fault found. That's what we're looking for. Keep driving it some more and see how everything is. Let's do one more scan on it, see if we have any fault codes. After we put some gas in it, did a little test drive. Read codes. Boom, no fault found. This car is fixed.
So that's it. All this car needed was 2 sensors. We were able to do some really basic electrical testing and basic troubleshooting methods to figure it out, put the sensors in the car, double check everything's working correctly, and turn it back over to the client. We hope you liked this video. If so, please like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next episode.